Another week, another fantastic episode of Make a Difference on tap for you. I'm Jared Phillips alongside Phil Martelli, and I want to jump right into it because this is an interesting time in the college hoop space. Something that you said to me when we were kind of getting ready for the show was this is the toughest game of the year in this stretch. Why exactly do you feel like that is?
Well, because they're young men, they're young guys, and you have a number of things colliding. Finals are ending or have just ended, right? So they have that academic pressures to make sure that they make up for 15 weeks of the semester in an hour and a half exam. That's one, human nature. Two, campus empties. So they look around, whether they live in an apartment off campus, whether they live in a dorm, whether it's division 1, 2, or 3, they're going back to an empty living space, which is a challenge. Their minds are at home. Are they going to see the fellows at home? How much time can they spend with their family? Uh, they have the pressure that all males have. Did I get the right gift? Did I get enough gifts? All of those kind of things. So you have mental exhaustion. You have a little bit of physical exhaustion because they're not sleeping right. They're not eating right as they cram for exams. We do have a mandatory off period, 24, 25, 26. The NCAA has a mandatory off period. So there'll be some upsets. There'll be some upsets, and you'll scratch your head. And sometimes when you're the home team, if you go on the road and you can all be in a hotel together, or even in the lower levels, you can be in the van together and you're on the road. You can heighten their focus in that particular way. So, and from a coach's point of view, a win shouldn't be this way, but it is. Win, good Christmas. Loss, tougher Christmas. You hate to say it that way, but I always felt the game before Christmas break was the biggest challenge.
I think the biggest challenge I see is just when campus empties out.
No
You
question.
got places, even some of the bigger schools that expect a big crowd every single game. I mean, you're talking about like a game on December 20th on like a Saturday. I mean, everybody's home. Like you just have to anticipate that people are going to be headed home. Because so many students are like, well, this is my ride home. I got to get home,
No,
and I
I'm
can get home.
gone.
Yeah, and that's tough to just play in an empty gym. You got no juice. There's no energy. And you got to go out there and execute against a team that wants to beat you, and your biggest advantage is kind of taken out from under you in this specific week. That's tough.
Without question. So one of the things is you look for some big games, and we're going to talk later about a really big game and an opportunity that we all have to see on Friday. And I'm not talking about college football and the playoff, which is 1 game Friday and 3 games Saturday. And meanwhile, the NFL scheduled also. That's another
big sports weekend coming up.
No
all
question.
around.
No question.
We have a terrific guest coming up that I'm really excited to get to chat with. But before we do so, obviously I know there's it's been a tough week in the news, and I think I'm hoping the Martelli Minute can maybe lift us up a little bit.
Yeah, we want the Martelli Minute to lift. I just have to make one statement, not pontification, but just a statement. Obviously, the news of another school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin, and you pay attention because you're trying to find answers. You really, with status in a way, find solutions that no one else has to go through this. And I was taken aback by the fact national news interviewed a second grader. Like, why? And what are we doing that a second grader would be asked their thoughts on something that just makes no sense. And yes, prayers and thoughts and all those kind of things. But I want to get back to let's get solutions. Let's get solutions. If it's mental health, it's mental health. If it's gun control, it's gun control. But we need solutions so that this time of the year in particular, it's celebratory and not so solemn. How to say that, not really where we're going with the Martelli Minute, but for the Martelli Minute, Status Solutions Network is committed to making a difference by providing Alicia's Law compliant safety technology to schools through a grant of use, ensuring that financial barriers never stand between students and proper safety. Each community has the power to create real change. Learn more at statussolutions.com. We appreciate them. We're thankful for them. And they are just doing such great work, needed work in our communities. So thank you, Status Solutions, for all the support of Make a Difference. So here they are. Preparation prevents panic. And Jared, that goes for podcasters, preparation, no panic. Students, prepare, take your exam, no panic. And for teams, preparation, scouting reports, no panic. Next one, focus. Eyes ahead, heads up, eliminate the noise. Success is out there. So lift your head, lift your eyes. Can't be walking around with your head down, mumbling. No outside noise. Success. Go get it. And fear of failure must not stop you from doing what you need to do to get the job done. Fear of failure. I'm a student. Oh, I don't know how. No, that's going to block you from doing what you have to do to get the job done. Those Martelli Minutes brought to us again by Status Solutions.
I personally, I'm partial to that. Preparation prevents panic. I don't think one time we've stepped onto this episode and had to panic. I mean, the preparation, particularly for this next guest too. I mean, we got quite a few questions to throw her way. Would you like to introduce her?
Well, Bernadette McGlade, first and foremost, is a friend, but she is, and it's not like a pioneer in college athletics. What she is she's a superstar. We've had many superstars on here in their role, but a leading administrator, a voice for college basketball. And what I most appreciate about Bernadette, beyond our friendship, is that she shoots it straight. If things are going well, she'll tell you things are going well. If you mess up, and I messed up once or twice, we're not going to get into it, but I messed up once or twice. No qualms, true friendship, because she can call you and say, no, that wasn't right. Always about the student athletes, always about her league, always about the sport. And let's call it the way it is. She was an original women's basketball star from South Jersey. So she's one of us. She's from Philly, right? We have to call her from Philly. I am delighted and appreciative, Bernadette, that you accepted our invitation to come on Make a Difference.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. I love listening to your opening. It's certainly not only a pleasure, but it's an honor to jump on board with your podcast this morning, and looking forward to our combination. And you're right, a Philly girl. You know, somebody asked me yesterday about, everybody was going around for our Christmas lunch asking about favorite pro teams, you know, how to be the Eagles and the Phillies. You know, I was like, yeah, it was like, it never gets out of your system.
It really doesn't. Bern, take us through this journey. Take us through this journey, South Jersey to DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. How did you get there, and what made the difference along the way?
Well, I'll give you the abbreviated version. You know, much deeper, the long version, but the abbreviated version. Grew up in South Jersey, graduate of Gloucester Catholic High School. We won a bunch of state championships there. My dad passed away when I was in junior high. And so my mom was raising basically a family of 10. There were 7 of us still home. And, you know, it came time for college, and, it's like, how do you get these kids to college? And I was fortunate to be in that very, very first wave of Title IX and had the opportunity to be recruited by a lot of schools. And little known fact, 3 of us, myself and 2 of my sisters, all signed scholarships at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So I played at Chapel Hill, got my undergraduate degree, a master's degree there. And immediately I knew I wanted to coach. I knew it was in my blood. And I was fortunate enough at a pretty young age of 23 to get hired at Georgia Tech as the first Division I women's coach at Georgia Tech. And I stayed there and coached and then moved into administration for 17 years. I worked the 96 Olympics there and then had the great opportunity to go to work for John Swafford at the ACC. I jumped on that opportunity and left campus, which was a big decision, went to a conference office, had a great 11-year run at the ACC. And then the A10 came, and recruited me. And, I was not sure I had what I would consider a perfect job at the ACC. And many people told me I had the perfect job. It's really great. This when you're number 2, you sleep really well at night. You have a great job. You have great benefits. But, I took the leap and it's really surprising. I mean, I'm on my 17th year now here at the Atlantic 10, and it's been just fabulous working with people like you and all of your current and former colleagues and presidents. And the A10 is really one of the best Division I conferences in the NCAA.
So, Bern, I have two follow-ups on that. One, Carolina, did they call you to write a check for Belichick to come coach football there?
Oh, they're calling everyone. Yeah, you can imagine. I got more than a few texts when all of that was happening last week.
I would guess, and I think the second thing is, and you gave a great description of this, but the McGlade name in South Jersey is basketball royalty. How has carrying that moniker, your mom, your dad, how has that impacted your basketball journey?
Well, you're so kind to say that, but it really was the foundation of our basketball journey. We grew up in, the neighborhoods in South Jersey. We weren't the only family that had 10 kids. There were a bunch of families in our neighborhood that had 10 kids. And we had a really close-knit group. And my dad put a basketball court in the backyard because he'd rather have every kid in the neighborhood playing basketball in our backyard instead of worrying about where we might be running around town. And that was the place to be. And the family support, the community support, not only in Gloucester where I grew up, but at Gloucester Catholic. And then, when my dad passed away, my mom was basically a homemaker at that point in time. And she went immediately into real estate because, as I mentioned earlier, she had 7 dependent kids at home that she had to take care of. And, again, she's the real hero of the family and really is a remarkable person and just instilled in us, all of us, that whatever it is you want to do, you've got to roll up your sleeve. You got to not complain about it, work hard, and you can be successful at whatever you want to be.
Bernadette, Jared, I think I mentioned to you, Bernadette had, I think, one of the dream jobs. Every basketball junkie out there, Bernadette, wants the job that you had. Can you take us inside the basketball selection committee and what was that like and how has it changed you at all in terms of your view of the big picture of our game?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a job that everyone wants because, it is absolutely eye-opening. I give a ton of credit to the former members of the committee, the current members of the committee. As you know, Phil, it is a tremendous amount of work. And I was very fortunate because I had the support of our President's Council and the A10 athletic directors I had to carve out a significant amount of time for my focus on the A10. I had to trust my own staff, my leadership here within my own staff to really, pick up and make sure we were taking care of what we needed to do within the A10. And spent, again, 5 years. And I was on the committee through the COVID time. I was on the committee when we were, we had the quarantined, the bubble.
In the convention center, yes.
Yeah, in the convention center. And we were 29 nights in the hotel. I mean, away from your family and everything that you have to do on your regular duties and responsibilities. So I had one of my colleagues, he weaves this into every time he makes a speech. He says, I know I never want to go to prison because I was 29 nights in the Marriott Marquis and I couldn't stand it. He said, we all were trying to break out of the hotel. But it really is it's a fascinating committee. As you know, the pressure that each committee member carries, because we are all basketball people and we know in our gut and our heart and intellectually, but emotionally, what it's like to get up on the board on Selection Sunday. And we know what it's like when you're not up on the board. And that it's a heavy lift, but it's something that it is taken with 100% of seriousness. And you talked about preparation in your opening minutes. And let me tell you, the committee, if you're not prepared, you get blown away in that committee within the first 4 hours of the meeting.
No question.
So it was a fascinating opportunity, very fortunate that I was able to serve in that capacity. And it opens your eyes to, the reality of what it's really like in terms of that. You talk about anguishing over the last 3 or 4 teams that are at large selections. There's true anguish in that room because everybody knows it makes a difference.
That is such a perfect description, because everybody out there thinks it's robotic, and you're not thinking about that kid sitting in the locker room and they're told you're 6, and they're never told that, but people make it up. Well, we were the first team out or we the second team out. That doesn't happen. But I do have to take it on another, like, this is a real personal thing. Bernadette, I can't imagine, because I was in that bubble with you with Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the committee, and one of your teams, with my son on the staff, VCU has to get sent home. Bernadette was there. You were in on those.
Crushing.
Right?
Crushing. It was crushing. Like it. Yes, it was crushing. That's the only way I can describe it. It was, you talk about heartbreaking for, anyone that was close to that program. And even for you, you had, such a strong connection to the team. And it was just disbelief when the word came down. And, you just have to move forward. Everybody has to move forward. And it was equally as crushing. Even the year before, I was in the room when we had to cancel the tournament. And I knew, I was in the room, Dayton was going to be the number one seed. And, when we were sitting there making that decision, at 10:30, 10:45, 11:15, it was like being in a movie, getting ready. And then I had to make a call because we had the A10 going on in Barclays and we were ready to tip. And I'm back and forth in the room and saying, you got to walk out to the desk, stop it, canceled, pull everybody off the court. Wow. It was those 2 years were, so filled with emotion and just, very high moments, but also crushing moments that hopefully make us all better going forward.
So going forward, Bern, let's go. Where's the wheel going to stop? Charlie Baker has made a statement. It's going to be expansion. What is Bernadette McGlade's magic number?
My magic number would be as high as we can go, but I think the magic number is probably going to land at 76. I think they're probably going to look at 8 additional teams. And again, I am a proponent. I think, obviously, I don't know that the bracket will ever go to quote unquote 96, but given the number of Division I programs, I mean, we're over 365 when you even look at percentages. And, there's 2 schools of thought. One school of thought is, hey, if nothing's broken, don't try to fix it. But at the same time, I think you can get stagnant and everyone can pass you by. And I often look at the CFP, they're not sitting around and just satisfied with 4 teams. They went ahead and expand. And I think we have to look from the future and not be afraid of expansion. There's this insatiable appetite for March Madness. I think that there's certainly nothing wrong with having multiple first fours like there are in Dayton. And you can actually, I think it's an advantage for the bracket because, as you know, if you get into the first four, sometimes not, and actually often there are teams that get sent 2 time zones away after they win. And they have this incredible turnaround where now you could put a first four, obviously Dayton, you can put one out on the West Coast, you can put one in the Southwest. So then when those teams advance, they can stay in their regions for the next round. And that to me is when you're really talking about the quality of the experience for your student athletes.
Bern, in a leadership role that you've had for many, many, many years, and a couple different hats in this role, in the world that we're in today, how much does your diverse background or the diverse background of the people around you, how much of that makes a difference in what we're all doing?
I think it makes a huge difference. And you know what? I realized that immediately when I went to the ACC because I had been on campus. Obviously, I was at the University of North Carolina. So UNC, I was totally a campus perspective. I went to Georgia Tech at a very young age. So for that long period of time, my focus was campus, institution, Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck, everything we were doing there. But the minute I went into the ACC office, John Swofford, the commissioner at the time, had just been hired from University of North Carolina. Ironically, I didn't really have a lot of connections with him because he wasn't at UNC when I was there as a student athlete. So he hires me, and there was other staff at the ACC, and we were the 2 most recent staff members that had come from campus. Wow. And we know what it's like on campus when you need a infrastructure above you, a conference office, and you need support. And things like, the conference championship, and this sounds trivial, but it's not, but like the location of your student athlete family tickets for conference championship events.
Yes.
We sat in a room and there was a bunch of staff and they're like, we need these seats because we can get a lot of money for them. Let's put the student athlete tickets up in section 400. And I sat there and I was like, you can't do that. Like you can't do that. Like you guys have been off of campus way too long. Like it's all about the student athletes and their families. And you have to remember why we're in this business. So, I think that, having a diverse, I spent my time in compliance. I spent my time in marketing and ticket sales in the finance office. And, these conference office positions have a little bit of everything mixed into them.
It's a perfect example. And it leads into, it's not your style. It's not your style, but I'm begging you. I need you to brag about all that the A10 is doing. I have some inside knowledge, but all that you're doing and your staff and this conference for your student athletes. Student athlete well-being is major now. Atlantic 10 is at the forefront. Bern, just for a few minutes, could you just brag about all that your schools are doing, all your conferences doing to make sure that these young people are getting the most out of their experience?
Yeah, again, thanks for that opportunity. And, what's happening on our campus is really incredible. And we're trying to be as, supportive from the league office. And, a lot of that comes with us being able to help push some finances and grant money back down to our campuses. But, we have a robust program that really supports mental health. I think you've probably seen our national campaign for mental health and, the ability of don't be afraid to ask. And if you need help, help is there. We have a very robust student athlete advisory committee. We've done a tremendous amount in the area of diversity, race, and inclusion. And we also have had a significant, I would say, difference in the area of leadership to try to bring in student athletes from all of our campuses. And I call it like a lock-in. It's almost for like a 24-hour period where really these student athletes get to work with outstanding professionals in terms of how to manage their day-to-day lives. There's a lot of pressure when you're trying to earn your undergraduate degree and you're trying to now deal with NIL and you're trying to fit in, work with your practices and you're traveling and you're away from home and away from your own family support system. So, we really, really look at that. And then, in the last couple of years, we've been looking at what can we do to be even more helpful, not only to our student athlete, but to our coaching staff.
Yes.
I mean, the new young coaches that are coming in not only just the sport of basketball, but all of our Olympic programs, they're having to deal with a lot. So to be able to support them and let them know that, they're not alone out there. They have a strong infrastructure and a strong backbone that they can lean on when they look to us at the league office.
Bernadette, I got to throw you on the spot with one before we leave you with our final one here. I think the A10 has created so many terrific memories in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to put you on the spot. I mean, how many bids are we feeling come March with this group? I mean, there's some pretty good teams in this conference, but you've seen a look under the hood. You know what that whole process is like. Are you feeling good about your conference being well represented in March?
Yeah, I am feeling good about it. I'll use a Greg Sankey from the SEC. They asked him how many teams was he getting in the CFP. He's like, I want all of them in there. And, how many teams do I want in the basketball tournament? I want all of them in there. But you realistically speaking, our top 4 or 5 teams right now, and there's still the whole season before us. We haven't even started conference play, but we've been making an impression in non-conference. And, everyone is well aware of Dayton and what Dayton is doing. Obviously, they beat number 1, number 6 teams in the country when you talk about UConn and Marquette. But at the same time, I just saw Bonnie's play this past weekend. They were in the Hall of Fame Classic up at Mohegan Sun. And let me tell you, they are legit. They had a great win over Providence. We're really our top 4. Loyola is, I think they are right now 10-1. They're having an outstanding year. VCU is crawling right back into the play right now. They had a little bump in the road early in November, but again, they are absolutely legitimate. And then I jumped over on Sunday to see Rhode Island play, and Archie's got that team right now. They're 10-1. It's the best start that they've had in, who knows, decades. And those teams, when you start having records, and Phil, as a coach, this. Bobby Dodd told me this early in my coaching days when I was at Georgia Tech. You got to build a schedule where your players can win and get confident. They got to build up that bravado, that confidence. And so we have some of our teams right now that are really, really focused and staying the course. So, hopefully we're looking in that ballpark of, 3, 4, 5. We'll see what happens.
I think I just have to put my coaching hat on here for a moment and say, when you look at the Atlantic 10 scheduling, these are legit records.
Legit.
Because, and she'll never say it, but Bernadette and her are with you to say, this is the way. This is what we need. Yes, we understand what you need. This is what we need as a league. So these profile games and these schedules, you think, maybe a little different than some of the Power 4, where they'll say, well, those 7 games they can't possibly lose. Not in the Atlantic 10, and that's because of the leadership. And before we ask the last question, that answer about what they're doing in the league, let's put it into one phrase. They're making a difference. And for that, I am deeply appreciative of Bernadette McGlade and everybody in the Atlantic 10. We already had the answer, Bern, but we have to ask you the last question in all of our guest segments. Who's made a difference in Bernadette McGlade's life?
Oh my gosh. I would have to say my family. I mean, my mom obviously just, instilled so much in myself and my siblings, and it's not a single day, truly. And again, she's not been with us now, shockingly, for more than 30 years. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think clearly in my heart and my brain, I hear certain words of support and enthusiastic. I just said to my brother the other day, I said, if mom was around, would she not get a kick out of what we're doing? I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. And so I would say there's no hesitation in that. And so again, thanks for asking the question. But I have to say before we leave, I have to give a push to our A10 Hoop Show that's going to be coming on air first of the new year. I think our very first airing is January 6th. So, and Coach Martelli, Phil, you're one of our anchors with Tom McCarthy. So really excited. I've seen a little bit of preview. My production crew they're not sharing a lot with me, but I always have to eyeball a little bit of it to give it the thumbs up. And I would say to anyone listening that we're going to be pushing out some good PR over the next 3 weeks, but hopefully people will tune into that show as well.
What an experience it's been. The first 3 shows are what they say in the can.
Yep.
Memorable players. And if you and I had these memorable players, we'd still be coaching. Jameer Nelson, David West, Aaron McKee, Lou Rowe, TJ Klein, and Briante Weber from Kuwait was on the show.
Yep.
Then it was memorable coaches minus John Chaney. That's to be done. That's to be a separate show.
Right.
Minus the coaches. And then one that was very, very near and dear to all of us, mental health. And I am blown away with the professionalism, the preparation, and thank you for the opportunity to promote this spectacular league. Bern, thank you. Merry Christmas. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks. Thanks. It's been a pleasure. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. Happy holidays. I don't know if they're going to be able to tell you anything in these production meetings, anything like that. I feel like they hoping to keep some of that under wraps, because I feel like you couldn't wait.
No, those 3 are done. So I waited for the commissioner there to and I've seen only one show. I saw one show, and it was. Can you imagine being with Tom McCarthy for 9 or 10 hours, doing 3 shows and very few takes?
I think the question I have is, could Tom McCarthy put up with you for 9 or 10 hours?
He did, and we took the train down and the train back together.
Oh my, that's a day. That's a day together.
We were working on the lineups, what Clearwater's like and all those kind of things. But it is really a celebration of the Atlantic 10, which will be 50 years old next year.
Well, it's a great timing too to have someone like this on the show. Bernadette was fantastic.
As always,
I had to put her on the spot about the A10 just to say, hey, like, I know there's some hoops fans tuned in that are like, we're going to get over that hump. Are you going to vouch for us?
I'm glad you didn't leak that. Late in February, we'll have Joe Lenardi as a guest. we don't want to put too much pressure on Joe.
I mean, it's terrific to see. Like I mentioned, I mean, her journey, unbelievable. I think she kind of downplayed it a little bit, but the role that she has had as a woman in college athletics, the precedent she has set, the standard she has set, is unbelievable. And I feel like she wasn't ready and willing to brag about herself, but she has every right to.
She runs the league, right? Some leagues it's about the players or the coaches. The A10, Bernadette cares and promotes, and it's never about her. It's always about the league.
Really eye-opening, I would say, in such a positive way to see all the work she's doing, to make that conference great, to make that conference what makes college basketball so special. Really, I mean, one of the true.
It's a basketball league.
Oh yeah, it is a basketball league. With that being said, I know that you have a bit of a grievance to air as we get closer to this holiday season. Christmas is coming up, and I, you were kind of putting your curmudgeon hat on a little bit, but I have news for you. I'm going to agree with you on this one. Do you want to let it rip?
Yes, and it probably fits into that where.
Wait, what have you been up to?
Where you been and that kind of thing. So I took a trip to State College to see Penn State and Coppin State and visit with my son Jim, daughter-in-law Julie, and the girls Brinley, Avery, and Callan. That was terrific. Wonderful opportunity. Too cold to go to the creamery, which I understand you have to get to.
I would have gone in sub-zero temps, but yeah.
We weren't able to do that. I had a chance to stop by the Union League and speak to the Chemical Club of Philadelphia. And I asked them to reinstate me or to initiate me into the club, since I did spend a summer working at DuPont, which is part of the Chemical Club of Philadelphia. I got rejected. I got blackballed, or whatever term you use. Some great work, great prep work for a terrific game now. Nationally ranked Cincinnati against nationally ranked Dayton. I'll be able to do that game for ESPN on Friday night, December 20th. But I did have some frustration this week. I love the atmosphere of storefront bricks and mortar shopping, the malls. Little did I know that Granite Run has changed and the Springfield Mall has changed. I found out Exton Mall doesn't exist anymore. So I
Malls are going by the
started to focus on King of Prussia. I have to get to King of Prussia. But the first suggestion I had was online shopping. Try it. Well, I had an item in mind. I figured out a way to get it. It didn't look like the picture that I had been given. I was questioning. I couldn't get anybody on the phone to say, is this dark blue or is it black? I want dark blue. On and on and on. It turns out I went to sleep. I woke up. I had ordered 4 of them online. Like this is no joke. Like this isn't like a 5 and below purchase. This is like a significant purchase.
Like the credit card company's calling and being like,
Right.
what happened here?
Is this, you ordered 4 of these? And I'm like, no. And then to cancel it, I mean, look, the question that threw me over the top was when they asked for my blood type. I don't know what my blood type is, but to cancel this order, it didn't take that long to order it. Why does it take so long to not order it? And then to follow up and follow up and follow up. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. I will be walking the mall in King of Prussia. We may even have to take the podcast so I can get all my shopping done.
You think so?
Now, well, I shop for one person. I only have to shop for one person. Not like Aunt Judy, who
I was going to say, I'd love to hear what Aunt Judy's take on this
No.
is, because you have one. She has what, a dozen?
Dozens,
2 dozen?
dozens.
3 dozen?
I mean, seriously.
She's not complaining. She's just
mailman, and the
she's pulling up her bootstraps and going to work this time of
everybody
year.
gets but it's been going on since like August, right? For college basketball people, it's I have a little window, the 21st to the 24th. And your grandfather was great at this. He always shopped on the 24th, and he would come home mumbling that stores would close at 5:00 on the 24th. And he would say, don't they know I'm not done yet? Like, not that these people have to get home to their families. So that's where I was. Now, where am I going? Again, it's hoops. Cincinnati, Dayton, Friday night. Penn State, Drexel, Saturday afternoon. You're a sports nut. Penn State, Drexel, 12:00. At the same time, college football playoff, Penn State, SMU, 12:00. That will be an AT&T crowd at the Wells Fargo. You know what that means? Family and friends only for that game.
That's a tough one.
And then Sunday, Mass in the car, Bryant, Towson for that game. Monday, check this out. Think about, we have an advanced live stream Bishop Finn 9th grade basketball, live streamed to watch Philip Stephen Martelli play his second high school.
You got a freshman basketball live stream?
Live. Can you believe it?
That's pretty unbelievable. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know NFHS will get you hooked up with any like varsity action, but a 9th grade stream.
9th grade stream. And with this idea, when I asked him, he told me about it. Philip Stephen told me about it. My next question was, who's the talent? I wanted to know who's calling the game.
Did you want to throw your hat in the ring, or
no. And finally, forget that online shopping. I'm real shopping.
There we go.
On Monday.
There we go. I want to say, I'm glad you brought it back up, because I want to circle back to it. It might be an old man, a grandpa take of yours that you don't like the online shopping. I am 1000% in your corner. It drives me absolutely nuts. I can't do it. I'm a brick and mortar guy. It is so much easier to just walk in the store, pick something up and say, this is what I need. And you just buy it. That is so much simpler that it's like, oh, but just order it. And then if something's wrong, return it. I'm like, that process stinks. I'm not buying 4 purses, but I mean, the idea of getting clothes, any of that, and just seeing if it fits and then sending it back, it's insane. You do it in person, you get your hands on the stuff, and then you buy it with cold hard
Plus,
cash.
there's a community.
Oh, yeah.
The community of shoppers celebrating this festive time of the year.
I love the way you're looking at it because it's kind of a lot of crazy people running around like their hair's on fire trying to get all their Christmas shopping done. But I'm glad that you're looking at it from such a positive lens.
I enjoy it. And anybody out there, if you see us and you want to make a comment about the podcast, if you want to make a comment about Make a Difference, the campaign, but I'm going to beg you, stay out there. This time of the year, no one's alone. Let's make a difference in each other's lives as we go forward. And we're going to do a quick turnaround on the podcast.
That's right. We have another guest coming up pretty quickly, actually, right before the holidays here, obviously with Christmas and Christmas Eve being right in the middle of the week there. We are planning a Monday show for our next guest to really dive into some of the holiday hoops action we'll be seeing, especially at the lower levels, the high school levels, a lot of Christmas tournaments. College takes a little bit of a break in this space, and that's when high school really ramps up. I mean, I can think of the times in my days covering high school hoops. I used to, back in Illinois, they would have so many huge games and tournaments. I mean, I would have to be back Christmas night in Illinois just so that I could be at a gym from about 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. to cover about a dozen games in a row, which is as a gym rat, I loved it. So
I don't want to step on next week's show, but I just want people to think about, we have teams in Philadelphia who are right now in the pre-Christmas period. We have teams in Florida, South Carolina, Hawaii, and Las Vegas. What happened to Bishop Shanahan, Coatesville being the biggest game? It is amazing to me what these young people get the opportunity to do. But we're really good. We're going to, an originator of the college or the high school showcase who has in his bag of achievements LeBron James as a high school player and Kobe Bryant as a high school player. That segment will be very interesting.
Yeah. We will have Jeremy Treatment on of Scholastic Play-by-Play Classics, a man that has been really amplifying the high school game, especially around this time of the year for quite a long time. So going to be a lot of fun to chat with him about hoops, everything that he is doing to grow the game at every level. And I mean, like you said, I mean, you laid it out there perfectly for the pedigree of player that he has seen. It doesn't get any better than that. Oh. It simply does not. So very excited about that. That'll be on Monday there with Jeremy Treatment. Going to be a lot of fun to chat some holiday hoops with him. Now, if you are hoping to make a difference, as we hope to every episode, you can head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. Reach out to Phil. He is trying his best and making an effort to make a difference in any community, any setting he can, whether that's on the hardwood, whether that's in the classroom, whether that's in the office. Head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. Tell Phil your story. As he has mentioned on the show, he speaks with many different people, many different groups of many different backgrounds. It's not just basketball. It's about teaching. It's about guiding. It's about learning. And that is where you can find Phil there. You can find us at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X. And you can find us at Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. And if you're on that YouTube, go ahead, like and subscribe for us. That would be great. Leave a comment. Would be awesome too. We love to hear any kind of feedback we have, and give us a 5-star rating if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. We appreciate that as always. Phil, I want to let you go because I feel like you have some brick and mortar Christmas shopping to do the rest of this day.
Probably not today. Today will be prep day for Cincinnati and Dayton. And I am, but I am anxiously looking forward to
Getting out there,
walking that, and
stretching
seeing
the
the
legs a little bit.
specials.
Yeah.
Like I want to see the specials, and they still sell those like fish that are a clock and they talk to you or something. What was that called?
Like the bass fish, they still sell those?
Are they still available?
Probably, yeah.
That would fit nice in this decor right here.
You think so? Right, right behind the paintings or
Yes.
next to the Christmas tree. Yeah, that would work. Yeah, I can see the gears are turning already. You know exactly what.
A deal is a deal.
Oh, we want to thank Bernadette McGlade once again for coming on. Another terrific Make a Difference in the books. See you, folks.